Hear me as well? Fantastic, here we go. Brilliant. So my name is Dave Fawcett and I'm a theory teacher for GCSE PE in a secondary school. Going to go through tonight some of the things which I've learned over the last sort of 10 years in the classroom, trying to develop my practice and the way I obviously deliver GCSE PE theory lessons to students. Just out of interest, Jack, are you currently teaching GCSE theory? Fantastic. And obviously your first year, or you had last year as well? Brilliant, fantastic. Right, so what I'm going to do tonight to kind of help us out a little bit, and what I'm going to talk about doesn't matter what spec you're doing, whether it's AQA, EdXL, OCR, whichever one you're doing. Going to go through a different number of things. Going to go through the non-negotiables, obviously about what makes a decent GCSE theory lesson, looking at planning, through feedback, questioning, tackling differentiation and trying to make it a little bit more helpful rather than the term differentiation, and then looking at a bit of data at the end. But most of the stuff will be focusing on part 2 to part 5, looking at the main core bits with a little bit at the start and a little bit at the end as well. So what I'm going to do to begin with is look at section 1, which is the non-negotiable stuff, the things which we should be doing constantly. Now, when I was at university, we spent a lot of time looking at delivering practical lessons. Didn't really have much time looking at developing theory lessons. It's only been since, I'd say, 2009, where I've actually engaged a lot more in developing my theory practice, that some of the stuff I'm going to talk to you now has come from. So one of the first things I should say is, as much as you can, get yourself on Twitter, get yourself involved in reading blogs, and get yourself obviously in reading lots of different books. I put 4 books up there, which are fantastic books. There are more which are worth getting as well, which I can share during the presentation. And don't just read what PE theory teachers are doing. I got a lot of my background information and developed the way I teach by reading English teachers' blogs, science teachers' blogs, the lot, just trying to get as much information as I can, and then obviously that then developed to reading different books, and then that obviously then led into reading actual research articles from actual academics and professors and that sort of stuff. So first thing I'd say is read around actually developing your theory practice, what it takes to be a classroom teacher, and there's lots of different books in there, as you can see, which are fantastic to look at, and I'll go through them as we go through. Next thing, obviously looking through, is when you're delivering theory lessons, focus on what matters. There'll be a lot of things which you'll find if you go on courses, lots of things you'll hear people say in the corridors and stuff at the photocopier about different snazzy, jazzy ways and different worksheets they've used, and they've done a 400-piece word sort and stuff. Focus on what actually matters. Focus on the things which are actually going to make the students in your classroom learn more. Ignore all the jazzy bits, ignore all the gimmicks and that sort of stuff. Just work out what actually makes good teaching, what makes good learning in a theory lesson, and focus on those things. The next thing you want to do is try and develop that culture, and a lot of that comes through rules and actually getting students to actually stick to your classroom rules. At the very start of every time I get a new GCSE group at the end of year 9, start of year 10, we share the rules with the students and expect what we expect them to do for the 2 years. And that's what I want to try and get you to do now. As you can see, if you see a little the tick box in the top right hand corner of the PowerPoint slide, the circle with the 3 ticks in it, that means that we're going to be doing a task, or we're going to be using the Google Doc. So what I'm going to do now is go to the Google Doc, and hopefully we'll be able to see that as well. Let me have 2 seconds. Yeah, just going to go to the Google Doc, if I can just open it up for the moment, and if you could get to the Google Doc as well, that'd be really helpful. And the first bit on the Google Doc is, there we go, is classroom rules. So just as a way to see if the Google Doc's actually working, if we can actually use it effectively, you can see on the screen there it says classroom rules. All I want to do is as follows. This isn't just what your department asks you to do, but this is what do you expect students to do in your classroom as the core rules which you want them to stick throughout the year or the 2 years that you have them. So inside that little bit there it says classroom rules, if you want to go and click underneath there and start typing in some of the things which you think the rules which I want my students to obviously abide by and stick to as we go through the next 2 years of a GCSE course. Brilliant. We just get one more maybe. Or four's enough, that's fine. So what we've got there is a great solid foundation to work to. First of all, it's just a chance to see if the Google Doc's actually working, which obviously it is. And second of all, it's really good at the very start of the year to supplement obviously what your school and your department, behaviour policy, classroom expectations, that sort of stuff. It's good to have your own ideas as well, because obviously it's the students you're going to work with, and you have your own unique way of teaching, and obviously it's about you obviously instilling those ideals on the students and actually getting them to do the best they can with you. So hands up and answer the question. We're going to talk about obviously that later on. Homework again to the appropriate standard, and we'll talk about what the appropriate standard is in a bit. Brilliant. Getting involved in classroom discussions and then bringing their folders. Just little simple things like organisation. Those sorts of things in your lesson can actually can do dividends in what actually happens for the remainder of the couple of years. Right, going to go back to the presentation now, and we can actually start looking at some other stuff as well. So that works, which is really good. Okay, so next thing I want to talk about as we go through is that when you actually design your lessons and actually think about the lessons that you're going to be delivering for students, don't plan for other people. A lot of people worry that obviously as an NQT you have your mentor coming in, you have sometimes SLT, sometimes you have line managers coming in, other NQTs coming in and watching. Plan lessons for your students, plan lessons for what they need to do, react to what they want to do, and actually be quite brave and actually and think about, look, I don't need to show I can do this, and this every single lesson to show my mentor obviously what I can do, but actually I'm just going to deliver a solid, simple, structured lesson which has got no gimmicks, no wizardry, that sort of stuff, but actually improves the learning which goes on in your lessons. And obviously use the feedback from your mentors as well as afterwards and stuff. But as I said, it's about what your students need and obviously developing the lesson that goes for them. Set expectations really, really high. Promote excellence in your classroom. It's really hard for the first couple of years, obviously, as a teacher to actually know what that looks like. But always strive to have every single student in that class, no matter what their potential, no matter what their data says, trying to push themselves to get the A star answers every single time. And I'm going to show you some ways we can actually try and help them to do that. If you kind of set an expectation a little bit low for one student and others for this, and this student you expect them to achieve that, then obviously different students are going to achieve different things, and actually it sets different standards in your class. And actually you want to try and support the students you're working with, improve them, challenge them, and that sort of stuff as well. Think about obviously as you go through as well about your seating plan. Look at the data, what it shows you about the different attainment grades, obviously the levels which students came in at Key Stage 3.